Thank you for waiting. This is IBMass's webinars for international marketers, and today's topic is client-centric copy. Now, most people think that all copy is client-centric copy, but in practice, most copy is not client-centric copy. While we all have the same goal, which is to sell a service or a product to a client or a customer, not many companies do that successfully. And one of the main problems is this company centricism that we're seeing today, and we've seen in the past as well, in copy, in direct mail, in emails, and especially on websites. Now, before I begin, I'd like to say a few things about IBMass. We help our clients succeed. We love what we do. We're well known in our field, and a bunch of other crap about us. Do you see anything wrong with beginning a webinar like this or beginning a sales letter like this? This is what many companies, copywriters, marketers fall back on as their lead in to whatever they're hoping to sell or explain. They start by talking about who they are, who their company is. They might talk about the awards they've won in the past or something, you know, related to their company values or their motto. But none of this is focused on the customer. It's focused on the company, and it's more like a company bragging about itself than offering a solution to a customer's problems. You can think of this like a man in a bar or on a street or in a coffee shop, wherever, going up to a girl and saying something like, I have a Lamborghini, I make six figures a year, I have 8% body fat, girls love me, something like that. You'd only need to go out and try this technique to find yourself shot down, or simply ask any woman. This is not appealing to any prospect, to any customer, or to anyone you hope to form a relationship with. Now, all you need to do to find an example of company-centric copy is go to any website. What I have here are three about me pages or about us pages from companies, and I only typed about us into Google. And to avoid getting a huge company like IBM or Apple, what I did was I went to some of the later pages, maybe the 20th page of results in Google, and I pulled up the first two in English and I pulled up one in Chinese just to balance it out. What you'll notice is there's nothing special about these sites. I just randomly pulled out a couple of About Us pages expecting to find some explanation about, how great the company is and what their values are and what they intend to do for customers. If you'll see this, for example, the first one, About Us, at company name, we strive to achieve and improve customer satisfaction. Our focus is on planning, engineering, by cultivating a cooperative relationship with customers and subcontractors, we can do this and this and this. This is an extremely common About Us page. The second one is a Our Values, which is also taken from an About Us page, and it says basically the same thing. It says, hey, here's our company name. Here's some stuff you probably don't care about. For example, our company culture, our business model, what our values are, and here are some generic values that pretty much any business in any field has, which are serving customers, trust, teamwork, innovation. This is something you could probably just get from any, like a blueprint for About Us page. You don't need to think to write this stuff. You just need to write what you feel is correct, and now you've got an About Us page. There's no thought involved, and more importantly, there's no customer-centric thinking involved here. The last one is in Chinese and it says the same kind of stuff. It says when the company was created and what they do, and it uses this formal language to say, you know, we're a professional company and we have a professional image and we pay attention to the quality of what we offer our customers. And here's something you'll see in a lot of About Us pages. It's a picture of the company's building. Yeah, great, interesting. That really tipped me over the edge, and now I'm going to do business with this company. Because if I didn't know it had a big building, well, what could I expect? But all of these, in seriousness, are examples of how companies go wrong with their copy. They start from an idea that, hey, I'm a company, hey, I want to make money, so I'd better project myself in a way that makes me look good. And from perhaps the CEO's point of view, or maybe the marketing manager's point of view, a professional image is one where you talk about culture and your values. But it's not necessarily the image that helps you make sales, that helps you get customers. There's something that all marketers must understand. And even if you're not a marketer, if you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, there's something you've got to take into account when you decide on what your business strategy and what your unique selling proposition are going to be. And that is, customers don't care about who you say you are. Customers only care about what they can get from you. Now, it's not that customers don't care about who you are, but customers generally don't believe you if you're going to start saying um, that you're the best in the industry or that you can provide so and so results. If everybody believed what people said about themselves, we wouldn't need things like recommendation letters for colleges. We wouldn't need referrals. Employers wouldn't be asking employees to provide references to call their past workers if they believed that employees and prospects are being truthful about who they are and presenting themselves in a truthful way. So, when you're dealing with customers, you've got to understand that customers are always taking what you say with a grain of salt. And in that way, you have to redesign how you present yourself. And really, the only way that's going to help you is by redesigning yourself as a company that writes and that speaks in a customer centric way. So, what should we do to correct these mistakes? There are three general strategies that you should be using in all your copy that can help you present yourself in a way that makes the customer feel this company understands me and can help me and is trustworthy. And those three ways are to show understanding, to show relevance, and to give proof. And we'll quickly run over these three strategies in the next couple slides. The first thing you need to do is you need to show that the customer is understood. You need to describe your customer's problem, the problem that your service or product is going to solve, in that customer's terms. You need to use certain words and phrases that connect with your customer to describe not only where your customer is coming from, but where your customer hopes to go. By doing all these things, you allow yourself to earn trust in your customer's eyes. And only after you have trust can you talk about yourself, can you talk about your company. Once your customer trusts you, he'll be willing to listen to what you have to say, which is hopefully a solution to his problems. But showing understanding is not enough. You also need to show relevance. Showing relevance is a way of connecting with your customer to say, this is not a generic solution. This is not a cookie cutter product that we just threw out there and hope people buy. This is something that we've designed specifically for you in mind. It's a solution that's customized for you that is important in solving not only your work problems and whatever problem this is particularly addressing, but how this solution can expand to other parts of your life. For example, how we can help you get a raise in your job, and getting a raise in your job means that you have more money to spend on your family, and this just moves up and it spreads out through your life. If you understand your customer enough, your demographic enough to know what they consider important besides this particular solution, you have a lot more to work with here. And finally, by showing trust, you can gain some sort of connection with your customer. That trust is one of the main pieces of any copywriting. It's one of the things that you need to focus on regardless of what you're selling or who you're selling to. It's something that allows you to really truly create a customer, not a single sale. Together, all of these solution, importance, and trust allows you to start forming a relationship with your customer so that you're not just some generic business and you're not some salesman. You're actually a solution provider that can form a long term relationship with this prospect. Finally, you've got to give proof. Proof is usually attached to your product, though you can also attach it to your company and your brand. But most small businesses and entrepreneurs would really benefit more from using uh, proof in talking about their product and service at the outset. Now, one thing to note about proof is that it's not just statistics. It's not just whatever you used to rely on to say that your product works. Proof is a very multifaceted, uh, abstract idea about letting customers know that they can buy this service or product without worry. One of the things that customers of any demographic, even the extremely rich, really need from a company, from a relationship, is a sense of security that whatever solution you provide them is going to live up to its promises. And through giving your customer thorough proof, you allow that sense of security to be nurtured and allow that customer to give himself an excuse or a reason to buy your product or service. Now, what I have here is a set of quadrants, 4 quadrants, that can help you contribute to the proof of your product or service. One thing to note before I go through these is that some companies tend to rely on one of these quadrants more than another. Business to consumer businesses will often rely more on something like affinity than recognition. And for international marketers, it's important to note that in Western markets, uh, businesses and firms tend to put more emphasis on the affinity and the guarantee aspect, whereas in Eastern markets, it tends to be more about recognition and superiority. But in any case, you should be using as many of these quadrants as you can, and hopefully all of them. So let's start with affinity, which is a way of telling your customer we're the same type of person. Remember, you're a copywriter and you're an individual. So maybe you're not the one writing the copy for your company, but that copy is written by someone, and that person is a person. So this affinity is being built through the message you're presenting to your customer. Now, you can build affinity through third-party sources as well, which is probably a better way because in general, people don't trust what the second party says. In general, people trust what third parties say more than what the second party says. So some examples of third-party affinity would be testimonials, um, celebrity endorsements, which are particularly useful for business to consumer products, and certain endorsements. For the recognition quadrant, you might have awards that your product has won or your company has won. You might be able to state, you know, how many of people, uh, how many, like a percentage of the professionals in a certain field using your product, and through this show that, you know, people like you, the prospect, will use this product. That also works by introducing famous clients, especially in B2B practices. So all of this is about other people stating that this is a good company. This is also a third party type of affinity proof, but instead of being about the relationship, it's more about proof of quality. Now, the third quadrant is superiority. Superiority is a very popular way of proof in East Asia. It's saying, check this out. We have studies that show our product is very useful. And look at all these features. You might list a bunch of features. Statistics also go here. And this superiority type of proof tends to work better with males overall. But again, try to use whatever you can. In general, more copies better, though that's another discussion as well. Um, as for the guarantee, that is probably the safest type of proof for a prospect because the prospect knows that whatever goes wrong, there's always something to fall back on. There's always a plan B. And there are a few ways of doing this. Most common are the money back guarantee, the a certain time, like a first month free guarantee, and another option. If you don't like our product, we'll replace it with your choice of another product, and so on. So it's really important that in your copy you give all this type of proof. If you can use all four quadrants in your copy, no matter how short, you're bound to have better conversions. So how do we put all this together? We've laid out a few strategies for making your copy more customer centric, but we haven't really talked about how to actually implement it. Now, before I start talking about how to implement customer centric copy in your own direct marketing campaign, let's talk about how most companies do it. And in my mind, this is a very company centric way of copywriting. But in other copywriters' minds, this is the standard method. If you go to a copywriting course or you open a copywriting book, what you usually find is copywriting taught in the following way. You start out with your general idea. What's our goal? Well, we want to make money. Or if you're a charity, we want to raise money. You start with your goal and you move on to the product. Here's what we want to do. We want to sell this product. What is our product? Here's what we got, and here's what we can give to our customers. So you start with the product, and then you, from this product, list its features. You say, hey, we've got this pair of sunglasses, blocks out UV rays, makes you look cool. Uh, so you list those features down, and then from those features, you move on to the benefits. You turn every feature into a more abstract benefit that can improve the buyer's life. So blocking UV rays turns into saving your eyes from strain and saving you from medical bills that you would spend on the eye doctor. And making you look cool gets you more women and improves your sex life. Something ridiculous like that. So once you moved on from those benefits, from those features to benefits, you can finally say, hey, look at all these benefits. We have your solution. And listen to how people would phrase that. We've got this. Here it is. Do you want it? Of course you want it because we have lots of benefits, bundled inside this product. Now, I would argue that a a easy way of having a low converting copy, a low converting sales page, is to always rely on this method when you're writing a landing page or when you're writing a sales letter. The better way would be to actually flip it upside down. If, after all, this is company centric copywriting, then customer centric copywriting should be more or less the opposite. So let's see real quickly here. What would happen if we took this method and flipped it upside down? Now, here is the same method, simply flipped over. If we flip this company-centric method over and go down the list, we'll find something that somewhat resembles what a customer-centric copywriting method would be. And here it is. You start with the problem. You start with what the customer wants. You'll think in the customer's terms. If I'm an accountant and I need to find more clients, what's my problem? Maybe I found that um, going to ad agencies doesn't help me. Maybe I found that spending money on PPC ads is too expensive. There's too much competition, and so on. Now, if we flip this over and go to the next step, we find that the next step is benefits. How do you move from a problem to benefits? Well, you tell the customer what he would stand to gain by solving these problems. Now, this is something that your customer probably already knows, and it's just a opportunity to gain some more affinity with that customer. So here's what you would do for benefits. You would talk about, in his terms, of course, how his life would change if he could solve this problem. Now, the third step would be features. You would move backwards instead of going from features to benefits, you'd move from benefits to features. You'd say, okay, here are the abstract benefits. What tangible things do we need to turn these benefits into something that is, to make these benefits be accessible via a tool or via a service of some sort? And from there, you can lead into product or service. And of course, that's what you're offering. So guess what? If the customer buys it, you make money. Now, this is just a general idea. This is just the company-centric method flipped over. So I'm going to give you a more easily implemented way of writing customer-centric copy next. So here is a very easy to implement way for writing customer-centric copy. Uh, Before I go through the list and explain each step, I want you to take a look at the fifth step, which is standard copy. Now, standard copy is the copy we just talked about. It's where you have a product and you want to do whatever you can to write that product up in a very convincing sales letter. And in standard copy, you're tending to introduce your product pretty early in the copy. There's nothing wrong with standard copy. It's just that it's introduced way too early in the sales letter or in the landing page. So we're going to say if you already have standard copy, fine, keep your standard copy. But before your standard copy, add 4 more steps of copy that will help raise conversions. These 4 steps start at introducing the problem. Now, your customer already knows his problem. That's why he's searched for your website, or that's why he's in the demographic that would merit you sending him a direct mailing. The point of introducing the problem is to show the customer that you understand him, to show the customer that you are thinking in the same terms he is. Now, when you do this, you gain some affinity, and gaining affinity allows you to gain trust. That's the whole point of this introducing the problem section. The second section flows directly from that problem. It's the consequences of not solving that problem. So what you're doing here is you're purposefully making the problem sound more severe. Now, maybe it is really severe, and in that case, you have an easy job. If it's not so severe, your job as a copywriter is to make it look much more severe than it actually is. From there, you remove your customer's limiting beliefs. Once you've already stated all of these consequences, how your customer's life is going to continue spiraling downward, or he's going to just stagnate in one career or in one area in his life, you move on to the limiting beliefs. These are the beliefs that your customer holds that has stopped your customer from solving his problem, or perhaps in other situations has stopped your customer from buying a competitor's product or service. And in many cases, your customer simply doesn't like your competitors because it seems like your competitors don't understand him. Now, by starting with introducing the problem, you've already shown your customer that you understand him to quite a significant degree. Now, when you get to your sales letter, which is the latter part of the copy, your customer will be more willing to buy from you. Um, Regardless, this limiting beliefs section of your copy is where you deal with the objections that your customer likely has before going through with a purchase. Uh, for every demographic, this is different. I'll give a very easy example, which is senior citizens. People over the age of 65 tend to believe that the methods they have used most of their lives are the correct methods, are the best methods. And if you're trying to sell a new method for something that these people have been using for a while, you're going to have to clash with this belief that, well, I've used it for 20 or 30 years and it's been good to me now, yet I still have some problems. What should I do? You can't just tell them directly, well, you're wrong, this is better now. You can't say, your thought is incorrect, your beliefs are incorrect, what you've been doing all this time is wrong and inefficient, or there are better ways. You have to do it in a much more subtle fashion that allows your customer to feel that he's not being antagonized. Um, an easy way to do this is to agree with your customer and say, yes, this is true. Um, so you might say, yes, senior citizens, your method used to be correct. And logically, it is still correct. However, times are changing. And it's not that you're wrong, it's that the environment has changed. And perhaps maybe everybody else is wrong, but because everybody's thinking in the same incorrect fashion, this has become commonplace, and now we have to deal with it. But you don't tell them to directly change their beliefs. Instead, you say, here are some statistics. You give some sort of objective argument against their beliefs. You might give statistics that say, today, 90% of the people not using this product are losing out on increasing their net worth, something like that. And a lot of this is about proof, which we talked about earlier. A lot of this is showing that this is something that truly does work. It's not just a newfangled idea, it's something that can connect to your life. Um, so, something you might want to use here is a handful of testimonials, especially for a senior citizen, maybe looking at your sales letter for an internet product. They might worry that making purchases or keeping their personal information online is risky. But if you show them a bunch of testimonials from other senior citizens of similar backgrounds, they will be more likely to believe that you really have proved your product's worth. Um, right. From there, you can move on to the solution. And when you talk about the solution for a problem in any sort of copy, you really want to emphasize the what they should be doing to solve their problem. But you want to de emphasize and sometimes even neglect the how. This goes especially for services and for information products because your service or your information product, they are the how. You're providing the how, um, but you're telling them what they need. So when you write that copy, you can go ahead and tell them what they should do to solve the problem. And of course, back all those what's up with some more proof, but don't tell them how to do it. Your how comes with the product. So your how truly is the product. And that's an easy lead in to the standard copy. I'd like today's webinar to be more than just a informational webinar. I hope to leave you with a couple action steps. And these action steps are 2 steps that can help change your copy and your web page to be more customer oriented. The first action step is to go back and review all of the copy of whatever active marketing campaigns you have right now. So it might be a series of email messages, it might be a direct mailing letter, it might be a landing page. Go back and look at your copy and ask yourself the following question: how far down the page do I begin to introduce the product or the service? If your answer is something like 10% of the way down, then you're likely using a very company centric way of thinking when you write your copy. If, on the other hand, you find the first introduction of your product maybe 50% of the way down or even further, you're probably doing a pretty good job of addressing your customers' concerns before you start talking about what you have to push forward as a solution. Now, if you are in the former category of marketers who tend to see that their copy contains the product description close to the top, my recommendation would be to go back and add those first 4 steps that we talked about earlier to make your copy a bit longer and to also add things that you're probably missing, like a section on gaining affinity with your customer. The second action step is to go to any of the pages on your website that aren't sales letters, that aren't content, and go and look at how you present your company. So for most websites, these will be pages like About Me and the front page. Go through your website, go through these pages, and count how many times these pages have the word, your company name, or have the word we in it. Then go back and count how many times you see the word you. That ratio, your company name plus we to the word you, can give you a pretty good idea of whether you're talking in a company-centric way or a customer-centric way. And by the way, really, you only need to include the word you when you're calculating this ratio. I've had clients before say, well, we use the word, we talk about our clients and customers all the time in our About Me page. Look, we say we emphasize customer value. We have 97 clients. You shouldn't be using those words, customers and clients. Of course, 97 clients, that's all right. But you shouldn't be saying in general the word customers or clients, our clients. Because the person reading that page doesn't group himself as a client, as your customer, especially if he hasn't bought anything from you. The person reading your website is just him, is himself. Uh, when I read your website, I see myself as me. And when I read a statement like, we want to give our customers the optimum value for their money, I'm not thinking you're talking about me. I'm thinking you're talking about some abstract random idea. So really, you should go back and just talk to you, talk to the reader of the web page instead of just this generic idea of people buying from us. So go back, calculate those ratios. If you find the ratio high, go back and rewrite some of that copy. If the ratio is low, then you're probably doing pretty well. That is the end of today's webinar, and I'd like to say one more thing, so please stay with me. I just want to let people know that these webinars are free. Before we started this series, we talked about making it a membership-based webinar where you have to pay and you get few webinars monthly. But I argued against that. We want to give you free info on making your business better. And though we really focus on area exclusive businesses, we don't like giving you and your competitors the same type of information or the same services. We aren't really worried about this one because for us, we don't see, for example, we don't see marketers learning from us as our competitors simply because our market is the whole world. We focus on international marketing. Our main goal is to bring your business to a market somewhere you're unfamiliar, to move an American business to China and a Chinese business to Japan. So we're not really worried about competition, and your competitors are probably not the type of people who will seek out information. Most businesses are slow and dull and aren't always looking for ways to expand. So if you found IBMass through researching about how to move your company from one country to another, then you're probably in the top 1% of your field. So we're not worried about that. But we would just like some feedback because, after all, these are free lectures. Um, so we'll improve them as we go on. So any feedback you could leave would be great. And I'd really just like to ask one more favor, and that is if you found this webinar useful, please distribute it to other people, maybe in your company or maybe in your field. Put it on your Facebook, send it through emails, tweet it. Do whatever you can to spread this around. We would really appreciate it. Thank you.